I've been riding on a daydream.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out RV Daydream, and today I'm finally tackling one of the jobs that we need to get done so we can go camping. It is definitely different out today. I don't know if you can tell, but it's cloudy, it's windy, and it's cold. So my last video I was asking about help for tires and my choices on tires. And I've got a lot of stuff going on the next few days, so there's going to be quite a few videos I think that'll be posted here. I've got to install the ignition box for my truck that came in yesterday. I'll have to shoot a couple videos for that for my other channels. If you don't know my other channels, Lebo Views, one of them, and Fox Boss 9. This channel here, the camper channel, RV Daydream, I'll be putting the ignition box on, and then I'll show you what it's all about and talk about the benefits of that. But today it's about tires. These tires are really old. I don't know if you can hear, but I got the furnace running, and back here I went ahead and turned on the propane for the hot water tank. Even though I have an electrical element, I'd rather run the propane and see how it does. With the heater, I wanted to see consumption reasons. So we're going to be replacing these tires, and we got a really good deal locally here. I talked about tires and tire choices and what we should look into. After talking with the guys here that have been doing tires for many years, over 50 years, they suggested that I go with a Hercules tire. Now there's some negatives to that, and they were the first ones to tell me this, that Hercules, a well-known brand, they've been doing very well. The tires have been around for quite some time. Hercules tires were made by Cooper Tire, which is here in Ohio, and they had really good reviews, and they've been good tires through the years. However, just a few years back, Cooper discontinued the Hercules brand name, and now a company picked them up and is selling Hercules tires. And although there's a lot of Hercules dealers out there that have been still selling them, they're the first to tell you, because they don't want to hide anything, that the tires are now made in China. They're not made in Ohio like they used to be from Cooper. Now, I have mixed thoughts about that China stuff. And should I have stuck with the American brand tire? I could have, but these things are really inexpensive. Now, we've got a special deal. Don't think that you're just going to go down and buy these tires for the same price that I do. But these tires are $65 a piece, and they are Class D, or D load rating, which is like 2,100 pounds, and they have a 3-year warranty, and they're made to the same highway specs as all other tires, so they have to pass national transportation safety standards for them to even be considered to be put on any vehicle that's going on road for road service. So with that said, I mean, I've got tires and they're pretty decent. We're gonna go pick them up. The truck's sitting by the standby. All I gotta do is get them off this trailer. I've jacked this trailer up a few times. Now I'm going to, of course, take the stabilizing jacks off, because I don't want to tip this thing up and put too much stress on those stabilizers. However, all the manufacturers recommend, as far as trailer manufacturers, that you jack it up by the frame, close to the wheels. But the problem with that is you've got to lift the camper quite a bit before the wheels come off the ground, because the sprung weight right now is pushing the wheels up. So as you lift this camper up, what's going to happen are the wheels are going to drop until the springs are unsprung, and then you got to continue to lift the camper up until the wheels come off the ground. I'm not real happy about that. Now, in the past, I'll be the first to tell you, I have jacked it up via that equalizer bar that's underneath. I don't think that's the greatest idea. Matter of fact, I think it's a really bad idea. I've put a real nice soft block of wood underneath of it, and I've used my jack to lift it at that point. And I don't like the fact that it's putting all that force on the little wishbone, and then the bracket that holds it. It seems like it's a bad idea. So today I'm going to try to jack this thing up the right way. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll go ahead and try to lift it by the frame and see what happens. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Okay, screw that whole idea. I don't see how people can do that, because I would still have to move this back, and I don't even have a place for my jack stands. The thing is the jack stands, where they need to go is where the jack would be, because they need to be really close to the tires and wheels. I know it's definitely safe to jack the tires and wheels up and the entire camper on the axle where the U-bolt and the leaf springs attach the axle to the camper. However, it's really difficult to get behind those tires and still have a place to put the jack stand whenever it's up. So I'm gonna go back to what I know. And I've done this a few times, so I know that I can do it. I just didn't want to do it. So what I did is put a piece of wood up underneath there, in between the wishbone to support the jack from the soft ground. And now I'm just gonna lift it and keep an eye on it. Again, I don't really care to be doing it this way, because all that weight is being supported on the bracket. It is a pretty sturdy bracket. The wishbone, of course, has enough strength to it that it'll support the weight of the camper being distributed through 4 points on the leaf springs. But basically now I'm taking and supporting all the weight of the camper on that one contact point on the frame. And again, I just don't care for it. All right, now that I got it up in the air, I'm going to carefully slide this jack stand underneath. Okay, Heidi's got all the jacks up in the air. She's got the tires supported up in the air. She's got underneath the camper. She put the jack stands. She did it all. Actually, everything's supported and nothing really moved. Now all I have to do is take off the tires, and let's do that now. All right, so the tires are off, and I already did all the bearings, re-greased, repacked them, cleaned the drums out because the trailer had been sitting for a year, made sure the brake shoes were okay, lubricated everything in there. So unfortunately I won't be able to show you that because I'm not doing all that work again. It wasn't very difficult, but still. And you can see now better how I have that supported. I just don't care for it, but hey, it is what it is. And there's a phrase I hate saying too. So now let me go to the other side. I'm going to take off the tires and wheels, and when you rejoin us, we'll hopefully be on our way to get the tires that we need so desperately mounted and balanced. All right, so we're in the truck and going to head that way. It's not very far at all. I don't know, how far do you think that is?
3 miles maybe?
Should measure it one day. I know I walk there whenever I have front end alignment done to my truck, or I ride the moped. It's kind of nice because what I can do is put the moped in the back of my truck and go to where I need to go. Get the moped out of the truck and ride home while they're working on my truck. here's the place, Springer's Towing, or Sebring Tire, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead and pull up here, go in, and see what they can do for us. We'll be back. All right, so the tires are dropped off, and they're at lunch, so they'll start hammering them out as soon as they're done with lunch. So we're gonna go back to the Hizow and get something to eat. Pull in the drive here and rejoin you whenever everything is back up. Boy, that looks like a disaster there on the camper.
It does.
Hillbilly heaven. I just need cinder blocks. I'm back, and I wanted to show you and talk about a couple things real quick on these tires. The thing you got to know that a lot of people don't, a lot of manufacturers and tire shops, they don't balance the travel trailer tires unless you tell them to. Some people don't believe in it, some dealerships, even RV dealerships. I'm under the school of thought that I would rather have them balanced. You can see some of these required some pretty big weights. I had to take them back because I got home and I realized there was no weights on them. Even some weights on the inside there too, you see here. But these are really nice tires. They're Hercules. They're a D-rated tire, or load rating D. So that means 2,100 pounds each. On single axles, 1850 on duals. The reason I think on the 1850 for duals is because whenever you have dual axles, the axles twist each other's tires pretty hard whenever you go around corners and that. He cut us a special deal, and I'm telling you, it's very cheap. All four tires mounted, balanced, with tax, disposal of the other ones, and just to say that we were barely over $3 for all those. The thing I want to talk about is the balancing of the tires. The reason that people don't get them balanced is, well, there's a bunch of different reasons, and there's a constant discussion about this amongst RVers. Let me tell you what I know. The wheel and tire is a pretty big spinning circle, and I would rather have that true than out of balance. But there's some people that don't mind them out of balance because they use that tire and wheel to do something that most trailers don't have, and I'll show you. You can see this hub here and drum. See how big it is. I mean, my hand's not small, and I can't even come close to covering it. I don't know what diameter that is, but it's pretty big, and there's some weight there. And of course, you got 4 of them. And guess what? Those aren't balanced. Your cars are. Cars' rotors and cars' drums, you know, on automobiles and trucks, they're balanced, but these are not balanced. So although they're cast, you know, in a pretty strict environment to where the tolerances are pretty close and everything spins pretty true, they're not balanced, because if you look on the drum of your car, you'll see little weights that have been welded to it, maybe like 3 in a row, that kind of a thing. Because when it gets to heavy iron like this, it's real easy to have, you know, some sort of inclusion in the casting that would take and make the weight shift. I mean, it's molten metal, and whenever it's flowing in, they're doing it at a rapid rate. There's a chance that it could be out of balance. So what guys do is they use their out of balance tires to balance the whole rotating assembly. The reason that balancing is so important on travel trailers is that the thing will just vibrate itself to death. You'll make screws back out, and you'll have dishes falling out of the cabinets and all kinds of weird stuff. But again, this is a conversation that's been going on for a long time, long before I even had a travel trailer. So make your own decision on that. Again, that's my reasoning. The tire and wheel, it's a big spinning mass and it's a large diameter. I would rather have that balanced than the smaller rotating mass that's on the drum. If I could balance the drums, that'd be great. And I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I'm not going to mess with it. And again, the argument for the people that don't balance their tires, which is a pretty good one, is, you know, your camper sets, and it sets for a long time. and you get all kinds of weird stuff happening with these tires, you know, as far as flat spots and out around situations. You know, you got the weight of the camper on it, and then you've got some kind of a wheel block underneath that's putting distortion to the tread, and then you got heat from the sun if you don't have any tire covers, and all those things make that rubber break down in weird ways, and you could have problems to where the tires go out of balance. So they pretty much come to the conclusion of, why balance them when that's not really going to make a difference in, you know, a year or so if you're setting a lot. My thoughts on that is I'd rather have them true to start with and then go from there. So to keep this short, what I'll do is go ahead and get the other camera fired up, and we'll go ahead and get these wheels and tires on. At that point, I will get rid of the jack stands and the jacks. I'll put the stabilizers back in there, and I'll re-level everything, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I got the other tires on the other side completely done, and I wanted to point out a few things. I'm using an air impact to put them on. Do I have my air impact set at the highest setting? No. Am I running the nuts all the way on the studs until they're bottomed out tight? No. All I'm using the impact for is to put the nuts on. That's it. Just to put them on and get them relatively close to where they need to be. For owners of 1992 Terry Resorts or other 1992 models that have 15-inch wheels and tires, the lug nut torque rating from the factory manual that I have that came with this camper says 85 to 95 pound-foot of torque. Now, for you people that don't know how important it is to torque your lug nuts correctly, it's because you want to put the same amount of stress on the drum, because when that drum gets hot, if you've got one side that's torqued and pulling harder than the other, it'll warp everything in there. Although drums aren't that great in the first place, that'll make them really not great. Again, all I'm doing is snugging these up just like that. I'm just getting them close to where I will do a final torque. Also, whenever you're doing your lug nuts, make sure that you don't have any rocks or anything in there that accidentally got in whenever you had them laying in a questionable area like me here. Whenever you put wheels and tires on, if you want to make it easy on yourself, put your stud at the top in the center, and then take your tire and put the lug hole top in the center. Then you can just raise it, and it's lined up. You're not trying to hold it in the air and try to find the hole. $5 for all three of these. That's good. You're blocking the camera view. Oh. It don't make a difference. It don't make a difference. I'm going to put your ass on TV now. Oh yeah, I am. I'm going to circle it, point arrows. I'm going to draw stuff. Okay, now that I got the wheels supported slightly by the weight of the camper to where they don't spin, I'll go ahead and do my final torque. All right, so there we go. It's all back to the way it was, except it's got new shiny tires on there. Everything's stabilized. I'm gonna have to buy some new stabilizer jacks because I really don't care to be underneath there doing that. Those things work great, but I'd rather have the scissors jacks just for the ease of it all. So glad I was able to show you all that. It wasn't exactly fun, but informative, I hope. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. Click like or subscribe. Well, that's this episode of RV Daydream and where we're at. And I hope to see you out there riding on a daydream.